At the start of the movie, we see a small town where a couple is making out in a church attic. They talk about how Easter is coming up, and they're excited to celebrate. Suddenly, a small rabbit hops into the room. They find it adorable, but within seconds, its eyes turn red, and its sharp teeth appear. Terrified, they try to escape, but the rabbit attacks them. Before they can react, a giant rabbit shows up and kills them both. A few days later, we meet Jeannie, a woman who has turned into a heavy drinker after her husband, Lance, left her. One night, she gets home drunk and calls him, but he doesn't answer. Frustrated, she leaves him a voicemail, begging him to come back. Just then, her best friend, Carol, arrives and reminds her that they need to attend Janet's funeral. Jeannie doesn't want to go, but Carol convinces her, saying they should be there since they knew Janet. At the funeral, a politician named Mary Lou gives a speech, warning everyone that several people have died in town recently, first some teenagers, then a hairdresser. She suggests that a serial killer might be behind it. However, Jeannie and Carol don't take Mary seriously because they know she only cares about votes. Despite the ongoing murders, Mary insists that the Easter festival will not be cancelled. Later, Carol asks Jeannie where Lance went. Jeannie explains that he left without saying a word. As they step outside, where the funeral meal is being served, Mary taunts Jeannie about her husband leaving her. Just then, Mary's husband, Eugene, approaches and tells Jeannie not to take Mary's words to heart. Suddenly, Jeannie spots Lance standing at a distance, but the moment she blinks, he vanishes. Realizing he might still be nearby, she rushes to the parking lot and finds his car covered in blood. Panicked, she calls the police. When the sheriff arrives, she explains everything, but he refuses to help. Jeannie suggests that a wild animal might have taken Lance and insists they check the woods, but the sheriff dismisses her concerns and leaves. Frustrated, Jeannie and Carol get back into their car when Sam, a local man, approaches them. He claims to know where Lance is and believes the killer is a giant rabbit named Jackalope. To prove it, he takes them into the forest and shows them enormous rabbit footprints. Sam explains that Jackalope has been terrorizing the town for years and isn't just an animal. He's a human who transforms into a monstrous rabbit. He believes the killer is someone from their town. Just then, they hear a terrifying screech, and Sam runs away in fear. Moments later, a rabbit with glowing red eyes lunges at them, but Jeannie kills it. She then tells Carol that since the teenagers were murdered in the church attic, there must be some clue hidden there about Jackalope's true identity. Carol is skeptical, but Jeannie convinces her to help investigate. They sneak into the church attic and search for clues. Jeannie finds an old diary filled with photographs and writings about someone who gave their soul to Satan. She realizes that Satan himself created Jackalope. Meanwhile, at a bar, the town's mayor is seen boasting about how he once saved girls from a beast. Soon, Jeannie and Carol arrive, warning him that the Easter festival must be cancelled, or the killer will strike again. The mayor laughs at them and says he won't cancel the festival just because a few people have died. Jeannie tries to convince him, but he refuses, making her furious. She takes Carol and leaves. Meanwhile, Mary orders her maid to feed her pet bunny since it's mealtime. The maid, already frustrated from following orders, is more upset that Mary doesn't respect her. Carol decides to stay at Ginny's house to support her. Her husband arrives with food, hands it to her, and tells her to take care. Later, while bathing, Mary Lou asks her husband to shave her. When he suggests they go to bed together, she kicks him away, showing that she doesn't even respect her own husband. Meanwhile, Ginny, growing anxious, keeps calling Lance, but he doesn't answer. Carol reassures her that they will find Lance and that he will be safe. They continue reading the diary, which mentions that the Easter Bunny would become part of their family, making their lives happier. It turns out that a woman had made a deal with a demon to cure her smallpox in exchange for accepting any condition. The demon cured her but transformed her into a jackalope, a creature that, like a werewolf, gets passed down through generations. Now, they need to figure out who in town is the descendant, who the jackalope really is, and who has been killing people. Meanwhile, Mary's maid goes to feed the bunny but notices something strange about it. Suddenly, its eyes turn red, and it attacks her, biting her finger instead of eating the food. It then slashes her neck, killing her. Later, the giant bunny returns and devours her body. That night, Ginny has a nightmare where she sees her husband trapped inside the bunny's basket. She wakes up in shock and finds herself in the garden. She had sleepwalked there. Carol finds her and assures her that everything will be fine. They decide to go to Mary and insist that the festival must be stopped, but Mary refuses, saying Easter is meant to be celebrated, and nothing will stop it. Just then, Ginny notices a girl staring at her. When she follows her into the woods, two people capture the girl. They remove her mask and realize she is Megan Jennings, who knows about the jackalope and came to hunt it. Suddenly, a bunny appears, and they kill it before escaping to Megan's house. Megan reveals that she has been researching and discovered that the jackalope is someone from their town, someone whose one leg is shorter than the other. By tracking footprints, she noticed uneven marks but hasn't yet identified the creature. Ginny suggests they attend the dance party to find someone with a shorter leg. At the party, they secretly check everyone's legs. When they see Mary's assistant, they suspect she might be the jackalope and tie her up. But before they can confirm, the mayor arrives and frees her. Mary then takes the stage, announcing that tomorrow will be their big celebration. She has arranged a contest where participants must find an Easter egg to win a prize. As they observe the contestants, they notice one person standing completely still. When they look closely, blood drips from his eye. He is dead. Panic erupts, but the mayor calms everyone down, insisting the festival will continue. Mary, now deeply disturbed, turns to her assistant and asks, "What is happening in this town?" As she looks around, she sees her husband, Eugene, calmly eating his meal. Furious, she scolds him and sends him home. When Ginny arrives at her house, Sam comes to meet her. He reveals that he has figured out who Jackalope's next victim is. Ginny asks him who it is, and he says that the next target is children. Shocked by this revelation, Ginny refuses to believe him and kicks him out, then breaks down crying inside. Suddenly, she hears noises from within the house and recalls how she had cheated on her husband. Just then, Lance arrives to collect some of his belongings. Seeing him, Ginny tries to stop him, but Lance calls her a cheater and refuses to stay, leaving angrily. He had seen her with the mayor and felt betrayed. Meanwhile, Megan arrives outside Ginny's house and hears strange noises coming from the forest. As she investigates, Jackalope attacks her. She tries to fight back but fails, and Jackalope kills her. Later, when Ginny steps outside, she finds Megan's lifeless body. Horrified, she realizes that Jackalope was behind her murder. The next morning, as the town festival is about to begin, people, mostly children, gather at the venue. Ginny confesses to Carol that she is at fault. One night, after drinking, she brought the mayor home, and they became intimate. Lance saw everything, got angry, and left her. Meanwhile, Lance goes to confront the mayor, intending to kill him for betraying him. The mayor, however, pulls out a gun and warns him to stay away. At the festival, a swarm of bunnies suddenly appears and starts attacking the children. Seeing this, Carol grabs her husband and child and runs. Mary's assistant rushes into the club, warning the mayor about the rabbit attack. But instead of reacting, the mayor pulls her in for a kiss. Surprisingly, she gives in, completely forgetting the danger. Lance, determined to save the children, runs outside. Moments later, the rabbits swarm the club, tearing into the mayor and his assistant, killing them both. Jackalope also arrives, slaughtering people one by one. He captures Lance and takes him into the forest. Trapped, Lance sees Sam approaching. Sam assures him that he'll call for help. Meanwhile, Carol and Ginny confront Mary, blaming her for everything. Mary, devastated, breaks down in tears, saying she had no idea things would turn out this way. At that moment, Sam returns, saying he has spotted Lance. Mary then opens her car's trunk, revealing an assortment of weapons. She insists they take them to fight Jackalope. Back in the forest, Eugene approaches Lance, who begs him for help. Eugene smiles and says Lance is special to him, then suddenly transforms into Jackalope. Lance is horrified as he realizes the truth. Eugene is the real Jackalope. Lance pleads, saying he never did anything wrong to Mary Lou, so why is he being targeted? Eugene confesses that Mary Lou had a crush on him. By killing him, she would be his forever. Just then, Ginny, Carol, Mary Lou, and Sam arrive and attack Eugene. He tries to escape, but Mary, despite her shock at discovering her husband is Jackalope, refuses to let him go. After all, he has murdered innocent people. As they fight, a group of rabbits attacks Sam, killing him. Carol is also bitten on the wrist but manages to kill the rabbit. Ginny then picks up a sword and decapitates Jackalope, finally putting an end to his reign of terror. It was the only way to kill him. They rescue Lance and rush him to the hospital. Days later, the town is nearly deserted, with most of its residents dead. Mary delivers a speech to the survivors. Meanwhile, a small child spots a strange liquid dripping from a man's shoe. Out of curiosity, he licks it, and suddenly transforms into Jackalope. Ginny and Carol immediately restrain him, load him into their car, and drive off to dispose of him far away. And with that, the movie comes to an end. So that's the end of our movie. If you've come this far, make sure to give a thumbs up and subscribe my channel.